Hey guys, welcome to Badass Reviews Pick Up That Mode. I'm here today to review two episodes of the Watchmen series, episode 7 and episode 8. So they will be spoilers, so if you've not watched it yet, watch it and then come back later and listen to this because I'm going to go deep into spoilers territory here. So I'll start off with episode 7, which is titled An Almost Religious Awe, which is a word for word take from the comic, the graphic novel itself. Dr. Manhattan actually says it in the comic. Often they ask to surrender to me personally. Their terror is balanced by an almost religious awe. So that's the line that they use, and they've just taken a part of it to make it as a title. And that was probably a hint to what we were going to see in the episode, because the episode itself, it had a very progressive nature to it. It started off very slow because if you remember after episode 6, where Angela had taken the nostalgia pills and she was in this coma of sorts. So she's now in the care of Lady Trieu. Yet the effect of the nostalgia pills has not waned off. She's still experiencing some really major shit, some really trippy shit, and what happens is that she starts experiencing her whole life from her young age to current time in that short period of time in this episode. And there's a lot of fantastic acting moments. I have to give some kudos to the actress that played the young version of Angela. I'm not sure of her name, but I remember seeing her in Shazam, and she's also famous from the This Is Us TV series, and I thought she did a really very good job in portraying the young Angela. And as I mentioned, it's basically a very Angela-centric episode. She is basically the lead character of this show, and in this particular episode we get to see her experiencing a lot of shit. Like I said, there's a lot of what the fuck moments in this episode, really. There's way too many WTF moments. The literal elephant in the room. Then there's this long-held theory that Lady Trieu's daughter is a clone. It's confirmed this in this episode, in episode 7, that she is indeed a clone of sorts, but a clone of Lady Trieu's actual mother, which is bonkers. As I mentioned, in episode 6, this series is just going from bonkers to bonkers and getting way out there. Damon Lindelof is just having a lot of fun writing this series, and then it ends with the trial of Ozzy Banderas, and when it comes to the point when he's basically defending himself, and the judge asks him, "What do you have to say?" All he does, he lets out a massive fart. That's the kind of show we are watching. It's very, very acerbic kind of humor, and I felt that it was a great kind of a slow burner episode until the last 10 minutes. I'll get there. I like the fact that Mozart's Requiem was used in this episode a lot of times. It was also used in the Watchmen film, which is a panel by panel adaptation of the graphic novel except for the climax. And then I also like the fact that the song Life on Mars by David Bowie plays right at the end. It's a great I wouldn't say an Easter egg because it was very obvious, but I like what they did there. Now coming to that twist at the end. So there's been a lot of speculation if we would see Dr. Manhattan in this series, because if you remember, this Watchmen series on HBO is basically a sequel to the graphic novels events. So we've not seen Dr. Manhattan. It has been speculated that he's on Mars, and that is what we think. But there's a lot of clues. Lindelof does this in a lot of his series throughout the first 6 episodes, that points that perhaps Dr. Manhattan is actually on Earth. And I have to say that I saw it kind of coming when the during the confrontation scene between Lady Trieu and Angela, when she keeps asking her, I'm sure you know who Dr. Manhattan is and so on. And I kind of thought, oh, could it be Cal? No, they're not going to do that. And then boom, right at the end, the last scene, he calls her husband in, played by Yahya Abdul Mateen, whom some of you might know from Moonlight. He was also Black Manta on Aquaman, in the Aquaman film. Calls her husband in and then says, listen, John, you're in trouble. And that, just blew me, because I straight away knew John Osterman is the name of Dr. Manhattan, his real name, before he became the sentient being known as Dr. Manhattan. So this was a twist that I kind of saw it coming, but when it did happen, blown away. It has happened a lot in Lost and Leftovers as well, but apparently Reddit saw this coming from way miles away. There's this whole Reddit thread where this guy, I can't remember the poster's name, he goes into an actual he has done an actual dissertation of kind. He has dissected each and every clue to bring us to the point where he found out, he kind of predicted that Dr. Manhattan on Earth is actually Cal, Angela's husband. And man, cool. I have to say props to him. And great job, dude. You saw it coming before the rest of us did. Nevertheless, thank God I didn't get that spoilers beforehand. I was blown away by that twist. So it ends there, episode 7. So episode 8 starts off where it ends, and then episode 8. Wow. Okay. If you have something to help you on while watching Watchmen, it's perfect, because that was what this was made for. These kind of shows, this kind of mindfuck shows that just blows you out of the water. Every single procedural show there is on TV right now. The writing was fantastic. Basically, episode 8, which is titled "A God Walks into Abar," but there's no space between and Bar, and Abar is basically Angela's surname in the film, so I like that pun. Is a Dr. Manhattan centric episode. We get to see how Dr. Manhattan meets Angela in Vietnam and what happens to their relationship that culminates in the end of the twist at the end of episode 7. And the whole episode plays out like I won't say a part, but almost in very similar vein to a famous novel by Kurt Vonnegut, Slaughterhouse-Five, insofar that it's a non-linear story. It is told, I think in my opinion, it is in Slaughterhouse-Five, there is a level of non-linear storytelling, because it goes through time. There's a lot of time travel involved, similar to this episode. But this episode, I think, is up there with some of the best episodes of TV. From Lost, The Constant, that comes to mind. From The Leftovers, International Assassin, The Book of Nora, these two comes to mind. Even the Westworld episodes, there's a few episodes from there as well. But in terms of non-linear storytelling, I think this episode was top class stuff from Damon Lindelof. This guy is just hitting the ball out of the park in every single inning. I think that nobody writes a time fluid love story like Damon Lindelof. Like I mentioned, he's done it in Lost, Leftovers, and then now this. I keep saying it, but it's a masterclass in writing. Of course, he has help from his writing team, but the main ideas probably came from Damon Lindelof himself. Yahya Abdul Mateen, as I mentioned, who plays Calvin, Angela's husband. Later on, we find out in this episode, we find out that he's Dr. Manhattan. I think he kind of he didn't look too good, in my opinion. I don't mean the actor, I mean the makeup, the prosthetics, the blue paint that he had, because it looked very cheap, in my opinion, compared to the film. The Watchmen film by Zack Snyder had a very great um, look for Dr. Manhattan, the glowing, the irradiated eyes. But in this episode, I think the look of his eyebrows, the ball cap that Yahya was wearing, I just wish that the CG and the makeup was par on par with his acting, because I thought he acted really well. He was spot on. The nonchalance, the monotonous voice. I think he did a great job as playing the Dr. Manhattan character we are used to from the novel as well as from the movie, and just spouting off dialogues about how time is non-linear and such things, how he sees both past, present, and future at the same time. Basically, Dr. Manhattan, humans naturally we see in three dimension, and we see X, Y, Z, the planes, whereas Dr. Manhattan also is able to see through space and time, which is the fourth dimension, which is why he sees a lot of his things, his life's experiences happening at the same time in present. And I think that Lindelof really understood the graphic novel, because he manages to write Dr. Manhattan in this show to be the most powerful being in the universe, yet he is powerless to stop tragedy from happening. And the tragedy that befalls him is it's a tragedy that befalls him. So there's also the fact that the bootstrap paradox, it's a time travel paradox. It plays a very important part in this episode, whereby Angela finally finds out that she's the cause of all this to happen in the first place. She's the reason that um, um, the chief of police, Jack Crawford, was killed, all through the excellent trope of science fiction time travel. I wouldn't say time travel, but use of space-time continuum. And her realization in this episode, when she finds out that she's the cause of it, was great. Regina King, I mean, I'm pretty sure she's a shoe-in for an Emmy. And in this age of binging, you have Netflix, you have Amazon Prime, you have Hulu, where everybody watches 12 episodes at a go. They binge through it. I really have missed this nail-biting weekly wait for the next episode. Where we troll Reddit forums for theory discussions, Easter egg hunts. I've missed it, and Watchmen has really brought it back for me. And you really know a series is good when every episode, at the end of every episode, you exclaim, "Man, that was a great, spectacular 1 hour of television." And the following episode, you do the same thing. It gets better and better. I can't wait for the finale, which is next week. I just have to say that I'll move on to a bit of speculation. I do think that Looking Glass, who we've not seen for 2 episodes, is probably masquerading as a 7th Cavalry member, because there's something that happens at the end of this episode where Tachyon Ray basically teleports Dr. Manhattan and to the 7th Cavalry's headquarters. And I do think Looking Glass will be there to help Angela out, because I don't think that Dr. Manhattan will be killed off. And will we see Senator Joe Keane, harness the power of Dr. Manhattan and become Dr. Manhattan himself? I don't know. There's this, how do I say it? There's this small thing where Dr. Manhattan says that he's able to pass on his powers with consent. Perhaps Hooded Justice might get the power, because if you remember, he actually ate an egg, and the egg plays a very important role here, the chicken, the egg, that kind of paradox as well. There's so many questions, there's so little time to pack it all in. I hope we get we've been told that it's just 1 season and that there isn't a 2nd season forthcoming, but perhaps they might be, because HBO is known to at least ask for more than 1 season. So if there is more than 1 season, then I would love to see a cliffhanger, and then we'll see how season 2 goes. Throughout this episode 8, all I could think of was that line from the comic where Dr. Manhattan speaks to Laurie Blake, when he says, "We are all puppets, Laurie." But I'm just the puppet that can see the strings. And I do think that that particular line will play a big role in this in the finale. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's gonna be a week. Can't wait. Um, wow, I'm just flabbergasted. I have to say is quis custodiet ipsos custodes. Who's watching the Watchmen? Are you watching the Watchmen? This has been a presentation of Badass Reviews. Pick up that remote. Like, share, subscribe, comment, but most importantly, keep calm and rock on.